live in 5. Hello ladies and gentlemen, and today I'm bringing you a little bit of advice. A lot of people ask me this, sorry about that, good start. Yeah, basically a lot of my friends and students ask me, how do I be aggressive? This is a very vague question, so I'm going to try and answer it as deeply as possible. Just giving some people some ideas on how to be aggressive. And of course, this is Starcraft Fundamentals. Episode number 4. I have been ill, so no episodes this week, so this episode's a little bit late. What I'm trying to do now is really small, really refined, bit of information on whatever the topic is. And then probably not even look at a replay most days. Some days we have to, some days we don't. When it comes to aggression, there is no point looking at replays because it's very obvious to see aggression. But not a lot of people know how to incorporate it into their play itself. So this is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. So yeah, what is aggression? Now again, this is a very vague question. But basically what aggression is when you're using your units in an aggressive manner. Now, this could be, a poke and a prod at their natural, their third base, etc. with, a small group of units, some lings, some marines, some zealots, some stalkers, whatever. Just poking and prodding into their base, picking off units or picking off structures around the map. Drop play and nidus play is aggressive play because you're dropping it with the intention to kill workers, kill structures, etc., etc. What's another example of aggressive play is banshee harassment, mutalisk harassment, that sort of thing. Flying units are very, very aggressive because they're usually mobile, and that kind of indicates an aggressive unit. I mean, how often do you see mutalisk being used for defense? Not very often. How often do you see banshees being used for defense? Maybe after they've been aggressive, and that's my example. Flying units are aggressive by nature, and of course the main sort of aggressive move is just a straight up attack. Just attacking is an aggressive move, and so basically that is what aggression. And why does it help? Well, one, it applies pressure. Now, applying pressure in StarCraft 2 can literally make opponents crack. You might be playing a game where you drop your diamond, platinum, whatever, and you drop 2 locations at once, and all of a sudden he loses like everything. He has no drones because he can't physically do this and that, and then you push up the front and just win, just by being aggressive with those drops, applying that pressure that aggression kind of leads to. And applying pressure to most players can actually just win you the game straight up. It forces a reaction. Now, a lot of Terrans will say like Zerg's OP because they don't ever do aggression. They're too scared to put on aggression. But what I'm telling you is, once you start actively being aggressive to the Zerg, you taking a stand, the Zerg has to make lings, he has to make spores, spines, whatever, and that forces him to lose drones. So just by being a little bit aggressive, poking with a marine squad, as he tries to take a third, or as he's trying to take his natural, can force a reaction which puts you ahead by doing this aggression. StarCraft 2 is very much favours the aggressor in a lot of situations, and the biggest thing about aggression, it gives you map control. Generally, if you're pushing across the map, you're being aggressive, you take the watchtowers on your way and you hold those watchtowers, and this again forces a reaction. It applies pressure, it gives you map control, it lets you expand, etc., etc. Now, the big thing, what most people ask is, how do you be aggressive? How do you know when to attack? And a lot of my students will sit there passive. They'll sit there passive. They'll have 5 bases or whatever. They'll have a ton of units, but the units are just sitting there doing nothing. They serve no purpose whatsoever. So today is about how to be aggressive. Now, the number one way I get students to be aggressive is by using timing attacks. Now, timing attacks are when you use an upgrade finishing. For example, you just put down your double forge, +1/+1 is almost finished. You should be across the map, ready to be the aggressor, as that upgrade's finished. This is a massive way to add aggression to your play, is to line up with timing attacks. For example, another good timing attack is just as that third immortal finishes, you push across the map. Another great timing attack for Terrans, just as those two medevacs finish, you're pushing across the map so the medevacs meet. And again, that's all to do with aggression. You know, a timing attack is the biggest form of aggression you can do. It's the best form of aggression. So if you're wanting to, you know, just add a little bit of aggression to your play, a little bit of an attacking, do it with a timing attack. It's a brilliant way of adding aggression to your game. Another way is using drop play. Now, Zergs might go, I can't drop, I'm Zerg. No, you can drop. You've got roaches and overlords, and if you get those upgrades, a lot of good Zergs do now, they just get them. If you never drop, fine, it doesn't matter, but you've got the ability to. You know when a Protoss turtles like really hard, say on like Daybreak, you know, he's in between his second and third base, he's turtling with sentries. If you can drop 30 roaches straight into his main, you're going to do damage, and then you attack the third as well. Again, multi-prong, you know, drop play, etc. Terrans, drop play should be, you know, happening all the time. You know, you should be dropping all the time. Basically, as soon as you've got medevacs, you should be dropping. Protoss, warp prisms, fantastic bit of equipment there. Not a lot of Protoss use them. You can use them against Zerg and Terran and Protoss alike. Load up 4 zealots, drop them in the mineral line, and then warp in a ton more, and just watch that mineral line melt, and then get out of there, do it again. Warp prisms, absolutely fantastic for aggressive drop play. Another thing I stated earlier is about map control when you're the aggressor. Basically, when you're doing a timing attack or being aggressive, you take map control, which lets you expand. And again, like say you push across the map with, you know, your 20 Marines and 2 tanks or whatever, you know, you're pushing across, you can then take your third base, for example, or, you know, as you're pushing out late game, you can take a 4th base and establish that. As long as you're out there being aggressive, he can't really attack you, and that's the main key of aggression. That's why a lot of people favor aggression. For example, when I play PvT, I hate being dropped by Terran. I absolutely hate being dropped by Terran. So do you know what I do? I be the aggressor. I use warp prisms. Terran can't really afford dropping 8 Marines if you're warping in 6 zealots into his mineral line, you know, whenever you've got the chance. He just can't do that. And of course then it forces multitasking. So if you're being the aggressor, it limits their options. So that's really good theory for aggression. The drawbacks, of course, sometimes caught out of a position. You need to be very careful when you're being the aggressor, especially with valuable units early on. For example, you know, stalkers, you do not want to lose stalkers early on. Same with, you know, marauders, you know, tanks, you don't want to lose them early on either. So you've got to really kind of, when you're being the aggressor, make sure you've got that map control, make sure you've got a good spread, make sure you know what's coming from every side. Very important. And also, if you're a lower league player, you got to be really careful about if you're being aggressive with units, dropping, etc. Make sure you're still, make sure you're still making SCVs. You know, you're still making expansions, you're still adding on production facilities. Never ever favor aggression over macro, especially if you can only handle one at a time. You kind of high diamond, low masters, you know, even like low diamond, if your multitasking is good enough, be the aggressor. It's such a fantastic way of you know, adding a little bit of flair. And most of the time, if you do this aggression properly, it damages a player like really bad, and you can usually just take the win. So in conclusion, aggression, very good. Always use aggression to expand behind, get those upgrades behind, you know, put on pressure, etc. So all in all, if you, again, I'll round up, if you want to be aggressive, make sure you're, you know, doing those timing attacks just as your third base finishes, just as the upgrades finish, just as you get that second Colossus, etc. Drop play is a great form of aggression. It can also, you know, win you games. It can make players absolutely crumble. And when you're being aggressive and you've got your units out on the map taking map control, just throw down an expansion behind it. Even if your units just make it to as natural, they don't kill anything, they don't do anything. If they're there, they're forcing a reaction and giving you map control. Take an expansion, pull those units back. Easy as that. And that little flare of aggression, that little extra bit of your play will really help you out in the long term. So yeah guys, this is Fundamentals of StarCraft to episode 4. I've been calling Button Me Up Partridge. These are going to be a lot shorter, a lot more filled content, and yeah, if you like this new format, again, we'll review replays as well. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this format, please let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, etc, etc, and I will catch you guys Monday with another episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye bye.